Really, nigga?
Hello everyone, I'm going to be talking about my experience being black while teaching here in Korea. First, everyone say hello to Pikachu. Pikachu is accompanying me today on this video.
Pika pika, bitch.
First, I want to talk about kind of like the elephant in the room, like just prejudice. I'm in Dongtan, which caters definitely a lot towards families. Like this is not so like, it's not like an international hub of people. You can imagine these people who move to like this sort of like suburban area city. They're going to like their local market, getting some vegetables, and they see like a black man like in the store just walking around. So of course you have to know that people are going to be surprised. People are going to be like quite shocked when they see you, regardless of what kind of foreigner you are, but particularly if you're dark skinned. That's just the reality of it. It's quite different from the US. It's in the US, I would say prejudice takes on a more racist and violent form in the US. You know, you go to certain areas, go to certain cities, go to certain towns, it's just not going to be safe for you. You're probably going to be called like the N-word or something like that. Like it's just, that's just what it is. And you might even be attacked. That's just what it is. Like here, I would say that the immediate response for most people isn't aggression the way it is in the US, but it's more so just like sort of like bewilderment. It does get kind of annoying after a while. Like it gets old for you just because you experience it every day. You live the life day in and day out. But the random kid who just sees you for the first time, the random like Ajuma or whatever, Ajushi that sees you for the first time, they're gonna be surprised. It's nice, it's not so bad when like, you know, you're living your best life, you're looking good, you're all dolled up and you walk around like Han River or whatever. But when it's like 11 o'clock at night and your hair you're looking rough and you're running outside to see you or do your laundry and you see people like looking at you like, oh, like making comments, stuff like that, that's when it gets a bit annoying, starts to wear on you a bit. That's when you start to become really self-conscious about it. Know that people are going to be looking at you, know that people are going to be making comments. I do believe women, especially black women, I believe they get the worst of it because in addition to being black, they're also women, so people just automatically feel more entitled to their space and feel more entitled to touching them and more entitled to saying things. At the very least, like I'm a guy. It sounds bad, but there is a stereotype for black men for being like aggressive or being violent, being scary. So in some way, like that negative stereotype wards off, I guess, the invasiveness of, you know, like people touching your hair randomly and like people like kind of going out of their way to mess with you the same way that they would do for women. Kids are gonna do what the kids do. Kids are gonna say what the kids are gonna say. 9 times out of 10, it's not hostile, it's not mean, they're just shocked. And they'll see you and they weren't expecting it. They're just like kind of living their life, playing Among Us all day, and they just look up and they see like a black man or a black person or a foreigner. They're not gonna expect it. They've never seen this. Like it's new to them. Regardless of where the kid is in the world, like if they see someone who is different from them or different from the people that they know, they're gonna be surprised. They're gonna have a reaction. Most of the time, it's quite cute actually. Like they'll say hello to you, or maybe they're very shy. So that's seeing like kids on the street. As far as teaching goes, sort of the same thing actually. If they've been going to Hagwons for most of their life, they're kind of used to seeing foreigners, so that's not really an issue for them. Well, here's where we have to get kind of different. Kids who are used to, or adults who are used to being around foreigners, they can be used to being around foreigners, but they're not quite used to being around black people. When people hear and say foreigners, they're not thinking of black people, they're thinking of like white people. If these kids are going to like an English Hagwon, they're picturing a white teacher, probably blonde in their head. The parents are picturing a white teacher, probably blonde in their head, from America. Like they have this image in their head. But when they see you, you're not that image. So it leads to some quite interesting like remarks from kids. Many a times I've gotten that they thought I was from Africa. Even if I show them proof that I'm from the US, even if I have other people back me up, I'm from the US, like it just doesn't compute to a lot of kids. Honestly, I kind of blame the parents for that, but I'm not gonna go too deep on that. But people in general just don't compute that you could be black and from America, or you can be black and from the UK. Like it's just sort of like a narrow way of thinking. But I will say that kids are kids at the end of the day. So as long as like y'all vibing, as long as they can have fun with you, as long as they can trust you, they'll love you regardless, no matter what at the end of the day. Like they warm up to you really quickly. Of course, they're gonna be curious about you. Probably they're gonna touch your hair. Sometimes they touch my hair. Sometimes they like put it in my skin. Don't get me wrong, I've heard some shit from these. Like I've heard gorilla, I've heard my hair is weird or whatever. Like not weird, but like just different. I've had kids ask me why my skin is this color. it's gonna happen, but I promise you, when you experience it and then when you like see it happening in front of you, you realize that it's not this like hostile like thing for the most part. It's truly like they just don't really know any better. And then I want to get to the older group. We have like the ajumas and the ajushis and the grandmas and the grandpas. They're gonna be a mixed bag, to be perfectly honest with you. I've met some nicest people. Like for example, the lady that works in my CU, she's a bit older, incredibly nice, very, very friendly. The ladies I see at E-Mart giving out samples, they're pushy but nice. Most people are gonna be very, very nice to you, very, very kind to you. Of course, there are going to be some people who are kind of like ignorant, who might make a comment about you, if you understand it, if you pick up on it, but they're not going to be violent or aggressive for the most part. So again, it's the same thing if you go to any country where you're the minority. Like, just be glad there's no guns here and violence isn't a huge thing here. So that's that. You're okay. Trust me, you're okay. Do I face like discrimination? Kind of. You should know that if you apply for most schools, many schools, like they kind of want white teachers from America or from the UK, I guess. As far as getting a job goes, it probably is going to be pretty difficult, especially like if, for example, you're a person of color and like you're on the heavier side, or if you're not super attractive, blah, 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 blah. You're kind of already in a disadvantage. So I don't know, be mindful. I do believe that people of color do have to kind of always put on like their best self so they can get the level of respect that their white counterparts get pretty much like off the bat. As far as like real discrimination and racism goes, I can't say anything that's happened to me here that couldn't or didn't happen in America, basically. There are times when I think that because I'm a foreigner, because I'm black, my opinion isn't really taken into consideration, or our opinions aren't really taken into consideration. We're sort of treated like as people who don't really know any better, like children. That works in your favor sometimes, actually. Because you're a foreigner and you don't really know how things move and how things work, it works in your favor sometimes because you get a lot of like slack, you get a lot of benefit of the doubt, but sometimes it works against you because it leads to people not really taking you seriously. So with that said, learn Korean before you come here, because at the end of the day, regardless of where you're from, if you can speak Korean, it'll make things a lot easier. I've heard that you don't really want to know Korean because then you'll hear the things that people will say about you, but I think as far as living and as far as your day-to-day life goes, and as far as making friends, and as a black person, people will have this image of you of being like sort of in a dangerous side. So learning the language and showing that, I don't know, like not the worst person that they've sort of built in their head from the media, whatever, like that goes a long way. That goes for anyone, actually, like any foreigners. Try your best to not necessarily like be Korean or be like the local people, but just show respect for the local people, show respect for the culture. That gets you further than anything, to be honest, regardless of where you're from. Are there any quirks I should let you guys know about? Any small things? Clothing. You know, black people have like we're kind of a little bit more bodacious on the lower body side, if you know what I mean. So be prepared for that. Pants might be hard to come by. There might be casual discrimination here and there, like people may move away from you on the bus sometimes. People may not necessarily want to sit with you or near you on the subway sometimes. That happens. Not much to say about that. I was kind of hesitant in making this video because I didn't want to create like a negative image of Korea or about living here as a foreigner, as a black person, because that's not how I see it. I've had a great experience for the most part. There were things here and there that were annoying to me, but at the end of the day, like I would never use us as like deterrents for anyone else not come here. It's the same trials and tribulations as you would experience anywhere else, to be honest. Being black anywhere is never going to be easy. But anyway, I hope this helped you guys. If you have anything that you're curious about, please let me know down in the description, in the comment section below. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. Check out my old videos. I did some about COVID, teaching here during COVID. Check out my apartment tour if you want to see more of this space. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, morning, week, night, whatever. And thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.